Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm your host, Stuart Cranes. This is another episode of your Inside Track to Success. You know, we have an amazing guest for you this week. Before I introduce her, please be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell notification icon so that you can get the updates. I keep saying it, I'm going to keep saying it. We are going to 2 episodes per week here before you know it. And we want to make sure you don't miss any of the amazing guests or messages that we have for you, all in the convenience of your phone, wherever you are listening to this now, be it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you get your shows. So, folks, to dive right in today, this is this is somebody that I'm actually really excited to have on. We've gotten to know each other a little bit through several mutual connections, all of whom have been on the show in past episodes. And just to begin listing some of her amazing achievements, she is somebody that is a ICF certified coach. She is known as the life engineer. She is the host of a top 12 podcast called Feminine and Fulfilled. And she brings her coaching prowess and passion along with years and years of experience working with Fortune 500 companies. So she understands leadership to a T. I cannot be more excited to invite Shazia Imam on the show today. Shazia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Stu. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today and meeting your amazing audience.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know this is going to be a great one. And I wanted to kick this off. You have an engineering background. You've
hmm
had a lot of success in your career. Some of your clients, some of the projects you worked on are small names like Disneyland, that I know everybody has heard of. Tell me what it was like transitioning from the corporate world to what you do now.
To be quite transparent, it was very judgmental. Let me just tell you. And I was judging myself. So, yes, I had a very prestigious career. I graduated from one of the top 5 engineering schools in my industry. I went to Virginia Tech, go Hokies, if we've got any Hokies listening. And I immediately went into some very prestigious consulting roles. And I had my path paved. You know, I
Mhm.
had I had done all the things to really reach the top of the corporate ladder, and I was moving very quickly. I was getting promoted very quickly, and I hit management by the time I was actually 25. And
Wow.
so it was something to be very proud of. And so you can imagine that here I am. I'm this very ambitious, driven woman, and I loved that. I am ambitious and I loved that, but there was always something that felt was missing. And they talk about a quarter life crisis now. I wish somebody had talked about it then because I felt like I was completely by myself. But I definitely was going through a quarter life crisis where in my 20s, I've reached already great heights by 25. I had hit 6 figures, before I was even 30. And I don't want to age myself, but I think by this point you can tell this was a few decades ago. So here I am in a great position in my career. Also, my family makeup looked great too. As a woman, one of the success markers is being married. I was also married by the time I was 23. So here I am checking off all these boxes. Everything looked really good. And yet there was something more that was calling to me. And I was really confused by that because I thought, shouldn't I be happy now? Shouldn't I feel fulfilled with all of this? And so I thought to myself, well, maybe there's more to do. And so I considered getting my MBA. I considered starting a business. I think I went through so many business ideas, all the way from professional organizing to event planning to wedding favors. So here I am, like just thinking, let me just start something else. There's something more that's calling to me, but nothing really fit. And so, as happens to many of us, when I hit a point in my life where I was going through a number of challenges where everything started unraveling, starting with the loss actually of our son. So at 28, we lost our
Wow.
son. Yeah. And our marriage unraveled after that. And it really sent me into a tailspin because after my marriage unraveled or was beginning to unravel, I started to really feel like I was such a failure, as somebody who had made it so quickly and so successfully. Now, all of a sudden, my life was unraveling in ways that were really meaningful to me. But also, from that checkbox perspective, it felt that I was failing. And as a woman too of immigrant parents who had come here from India, I have a father who he's passed away now, a father with very high expectations. That voice was always in my head that, I had to be the best. I had to do the best. And so as my life started unraveling, the that sense of self really started to deteriorate. And I won't put all the onus on my father. He saw the best in me and built my confidence. But even from a societal perspective, there's so much expectation, especially for women, right? Especially
Mhm.
because not only is it the professional achievement you're looking at, but also that personal achievement, that, wanting to feel like you've done it all. So fast forward to me really feeling so much like a failure that I thought it was better that my life ended rather than being this complete and utter failure who was alone in the world. This is the depth of the low that I felt myself. I don't think anybody else would have ever used that language about me, but it doesn't matter. It's how I felt. It's that place I went to. And in that time, and throughout the years, people had said, "Oh, Shazia, you should become a coach. You're so good at it." And you're always helping us and you changed my whole trajectory with this one conversation. And when people would tell me this, that you should be a coach, I'm going to circle back to that judgment statement I started with. I literally was so judgmental of coaches. I thought, you want me to become the woman who is in a boho dress, spinning in the fields, like airy fairy, like that's who you want me to become? Like, no way. There's no way I'm going to become a coach. So life happens, I believe, for a reason. So when my life was unraveling, when I had reached that lowest of lows, the opportunity came up to do coaches training. And I thought, well, what do I have to lose? I've already lost, in my mind, what felt like everything. And so I went to this training, and on the very first day, I felt at home. And I thought, how have I missed this my whole life? And it was this moment of feeling like this is what I've been wanting to do. This is it. And then here we are today, a decade later.
I love that. And but before we go on any further, like thank you so much for sharing about the loss of your son. And I'm deeply sorry that you ever had to go through anything like that. And you know, I know this doesn't make up for any of the hard feelings, but it is always incredible how some of our biggest setbacks, our biggest hurts in life are actually the springboards for what we end up doing and what
Hmm.
our mission is, what our calling is. And I don't know if you know this about me, Shazia, but without a type of loss like that, like you endured, I definitely lost my dream career. I was
Mm.
definitely the sales guy, the sales and marketing guy in the sports industry, or aspiring to be. I was with the New York Yankees. Long story short, the stress of the job literally put me in the hospital. And I also went through this period of I can't possibly be more at rock bottom. I you know, don't know what I want to do. I was Stu, the sports guy. I was wondering if you could talk into how we shift or how you've supported your clients in shifting from those moments of despair into possibility. Like,
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I love this word too, possibility. Possibility is the place where you have to step into. Nothing in life will happen without stepping into possibility. And one of the things that really stood out to me, especially when I was first on my journey, is I'd heard somebody say that your level of success is directly correlated to your relationship with uncertainty.
Wow.
Your success is directly correlated to your relationship with uncertainty.
Yeah.
And that's
Wow.
powerful because both, your situation, Stu, and mine, and everyone who's listening, we have all had places where we thought we had it going on. And then all of a sudden, something happened that was out of our control, out of what we thought would happen, out of what we thought we had perfectly crafted and the path we were on. And now all of a sudden, the despair is not just in the hardship, but the despair is also in the loss of the dream that you had. There is a
Mhm.
grief in that. There is a deep grief in thinking that your life will go a certain way and it doesn't. And so the only thing you can hold on to is possibility. That is the only thing, because on the other side of these very hard moments, and again, we can all go back to a moment where we can also see the evidence of this in our life, is that on the other side of those challenges, those hardships, those dark times, there has been something beautiful that has emerged too, that could have never emerged if we were on our merry way on the path that we thought was the way to go, right?
Yeah.
So what's very interesting about that is that possibility to me is a great word to quantify what that is. That sometimes in that deepest despair, holding out for possibility is the only thing. For me, that was the only thing. For my clients or, people I know who have been in these situations, it's possibility is the only thing that can give you enough of something to just hold on to. Because when you feel like you are drowning, when you feel like you are just falling off that cliff into a black abyss, like this was the image I always had. I held on to a life so tightly that I thought was the right one, because I was so afraid that if I took that leap, or if I didn't hold on tightly to that I would fall off the cliff into this black abyss and I would just go into an endless oblivion. But the truth is that when I ended up in what I thought was this black abyss, but I held on to possibility and I let go. Like, I literally remember saying to the divine, like, I can't do this anymore. I let go and I give this back to you, because I was trying so hard to control even in my tough time. And I said, I just can't. I remember this moment because I was actually on the acupuncture table. So I literally could not do anything. I have needles coming out of every part of my body. And so I'm just lying there, and then I'm having this moment with the divine and saying, okay, I'm giving this back to you. And everything after that changed. It
Yeah.
it was it was that piece of letting go, believing in that possibility, and then allowing things to happen. And I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, but tell me what to do. But it's actually about the undoing. It's the undoing of all of that wanting control. It's that undoing of thinking that you can predict the future, and instead allowing the universe or God or the divine or whoever it is that you feel connected to outside of this human world. It's when you allow that to create, and you go into this co-creation, or you go at least into this, okay, I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to go along for the ride, that things can actually begin to emerge for you. And let's be honest, sometimes we just feel so crappy in those despair moments that, what do you have to lose? What do you have to
Yeah.
lose? Everything's crappy already. You might as well be like, okay, well, show me the way, this isn't working. What else is there for me?
Yeah. Oh, so good. And I have to ask, because a lot of the folks that listen to this show, a lot of the people that I've coached, they are go-getters. They are achievers. They are doers. And
Mhm.
with that in mind, there's a lot of control in a lot of people's personalities, a lot of their desires to just control the outcomes of whatever it is they're working on, their goals, their dreams, their relationships. How do people create this type of walk with God or the universe or surrender if all that they're used to doing is controlling? Because let's be clear, it's been working for them to some degree if they're achieving at a certain level.
Sure, sure. I have something for you. Look, don't worry. I'm going to give you something tangible. Someone out there's like, yes, tell me the thing. I will tell you the thing. So I did have a thing actually, and I do use this now. So one thing that I did in a time that I could not imagine any other possibility in my life, I actually wrote down what it is that I was dreaming of. So I created this thing called a 100 dreams list, and I made it into a spreadsheet, and I literally wrote down different dreams that I had. And I had read this in a book called 168 Hours by, I'm forgetting her name right now, but she was talking about how to effectively use your time. So it was kind of a heady book, but there was something in there about the dreams list. So then I was like, I'm going to go do this. So I wrote down my 100 dreams. Now, truth be told, I did not have 100 dreams the first time I sat down. I could barely muster up 10. And I had to stretch myself. And one of the dreams on there was I want to get Trader Joe's Dunkers in my house. Okay. Like I'm not talking some huge dreams. I'm talking like something that I could just touch. I did have some other big dreams on there. One of them being, I want to be with a man who loves and respects me. And this is while I'm, trying to work things out in my unraveling marriage. So that seemed really weird to be dreaming about what really at that time is another man. So I just put what I could at the time. And I probably had about 9 or 10 dreams. But what I did is I kept adding to that dreams list. And I decided to move forward with one dream on that list. And the one dream was taking swimming lessons. I wanted to learn how to freestyle. I knew how to swim, but I wanted to do the side breath, where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you can breathe from the nose. I was always like, I want to be able to do that and like look like an Olympian. So I went to the YMCA and I signed up for swimming lessons. And it became the thing in my week that I would go to once a week for my lesson, and then I would practice my laps. And this was transformative. It was so out of my regular routine. I don't swim normally. I mean, but I would make the time to get to the YMCA, to get to my lesson. And then other days I would go and I would swim more and more laps. Now, for anyone who knows anything about athletics, it was a great workout too. So it was actually really good for me. I didn't plan that, but it was simply saying, here is something on my list, and I'm going to move towards that. Here's something tangible I can move towards. It's not high risk. It's not something related to everything else, all my other stresses. It's just something outside of my regular day to day. And so, what that opened up, so now talking about what I was sharing earlier about allowing the universe and the divine to like really take over, it gave way for the divine to do its thing while I was busy with something that I felt good about. Does that make sense? It was like I felt control of
Yeah.
this little thing, but really the big stuff was happening too, and I just didn't realize it. It's like things were rearranging themselves in an even more powerful way rather than me trying to think I could arrange everything. So this 100 dreams list grew and grew, and I started to do more and more things. And in fact, it's something that I offer as a gift. And Stu, if you'd like, we can share it as a gift to your listeners as well. I have a
Absolutely.
template for people that, it's not a spreadsheet. I learned not everybody loves a spreadsheet, but it's a great list with tutorial that you can use. So I'm happy to share that.
Yeah, and that'll 100% folks be available in the comment section, in the description, wherever you are finding this podcast. Definitely want to be able to get you guys going with this structure because it seems really helpful. I want to drill down a bit further with you, Shazia. So,
Mhm.
specifically, I love the example of, I believe you said you wanted to be in a relationship with a man who loves and respects you.
Mhm.
And this was while you were already married to somebody, not your current husband.
Mhm.
But what this brings up, and I think is important, is we all have circumstances that are, in our minds at least, preventing us from having the things that we know in our hearts that we want. Where do people begin in actually allowing themselves the permission to want the things that they want? Because I actually think that that's huge. I mean, in your example, you're married to somebody, you're doing your best to work it out, it's not working. When you have real circumstances like that, where do people begin in even allowing themselves that permission?
That's such a good question, Stu, because that nuance is very important. It's very important. I'm really glad you asked me that because it's helping me to differentiate between when we are asking for something, what makes it very effective, right? So, yes, it is the permission for sure. This is a permission to ask for the thing that you want to ask for. But the nuance here that is very, very important is not being so definitive about your ask. So, in the specific example, I could have in my dreams list said, have my husband love and respect me, right? And that's what we do sometimes. We think like, well, I'm in this marriage, so have this marriage look a certain way. Okay. Now, I could have also said, bring me another man who loves and respects me, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm so unhappy in my situation that I think the solution is, well, just bring me somebody else because that will make me happy. And that can be a dangerous place too, right? Because,
Yeah.
just a little side tangent on relationship talk, we want to be careful that we're not not allowing for the possibility in either scenario, right? The person we're
Mm-hmm.
currently with or the other person. But let me come back to this nuance right here is that what I did is I just said, I want to be in a relationship with a man who loves and respects me. Who that man is, I don't know. And I was not attached. If it was going to be my husband at the time, great. I would have been happy. I wasn't like, oh, gosh, no way. There's no way it could work here. And I also wasn't just thinking of like somebody to come save me, right? Like it
Correct.
was a place of complete neutrality that when we're making an ask, it's trusting that the divine will fill in, right? So
Yeah.
I knew in my day-to-day that I didn't feel loved and respected. And I craved that. I wanted that in my relationship. So that nuance of just saying, here is what I want, but I will not place a control on it. Because as soon as we say, well, this is how I want it to look in this way, whether in my situation, current husband or some other man, then I have controlled again. The letting go and allowing for the best thing to come to me was simply saying what I desired. So, to be able to dream, to be able to express, to be able to write down what it is that you desire and allowing that to be enough is
Mm-hmm.
very powerful versus okay, let me try to control and puppeteer all these aspects of my life. That's exhausting and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. No. And can I give one more example that just
Yes.
popped into my head? Because I think what you're sharing is super important. And I want to make sure the listeners are really picking up what you're putting down. So, what I'm hearing you say is, hypothetically, you're in a job. Maybe you like the job, maybe you don't. I don't think that that's the important thing, but you want to be making a certain level of income. Putting in a piece of control would be, I want to be making X amount of dollars at this company versus I want to be in a job that is compensating me at such and such a level. Is that
Mm-hmm.
is that accurate?
100%. And I would go even deeper. I think that's a great example. So again, even the money piece could be a sense of control. And I'm not saying no to asking for what you want money wise, because
Sure.
I'm all about being wealthy. That's a different episode, Stu. We got to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, However, start to get deeper to what the desire is, okay? Because if you're aiming to make, six figures or multiple six figures or millions, why? Why do you want to make that? What's
Yeah.
important to you about that? Start asking those questions because I can tell you firsthand, I also do wealth coaching too. I have met people who are making oodles of money and are broke. Okay.
Yep.
And other people that are making a very modest living that are super wealthy in what they are able to do and what they have done in their life. So start paying attention to what's arbitrary, right? The exact job or the exact money or even the exact person. All of these things can actually be arbitrary versus what it is that is important to you, what matters to you. So, for example, in this job example, why do you want to make that certain dollar amount? Is it to be able to travel more? Is it to be able to buy that home? Is it to be able to spend more time with your family? Start thinking about what it is that matters and start allowing yourself to dream of those things so that the divine can start to fill in an amazing way. I mean, it's really miraculous. And that is the word. It is miraculous when you allow yourself to say, oh, here are all the things I want. This is actually what I want. I want this because this is what I want when I have that. That's where to go to without all of the parameters. So you're spot on.
I love that. And folks, maybe just to put it plainly, and please correct me if I'm missing it, Shazia, but I'm interpreting what you're saying is we actually can't receive what we want in our lives if we are not articulating what we want to receive.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Yes, definitely. Without thinking you have to put certain parameters around what that looks like, or, just letting go of the control and then receiving all the things you want. Put it out there. Put it all out there. Like, again, what do you have to lose? When
Mhm.
you do this 100 dreams list, what do you have to lose? Nobody's going to come in and be like, Stu, you put this down and you didn't get it. Nobody's going to say that, but you'll have the opportunity to see it really come to life. And for anybody who's like into numbers, in my 100 dreams list, I did hit 100 dreams. And statistically speaking, I crossed 88% of them.
Let's
So
go.
I think that's pretty good.
What? So this just bears that I ask, what is maybe one or two of the dreams that you were the most excited about, most fulfilled by hitting?
So the relationship one actually was really important to me. And you gave the spoiler alert. I do have a current husband who I love and adore that too. And
He's
he
great,
loves
by the way, y'all.
he loves and respects me. So and so much more. And there was another one I actually did put on there and related to our conversation, I did put on there that I wanted to be a multimillionaire. I had no idea how that was going to happen, but yes. That
Congratulations.
came true
And
too.
obviously, that came through a lot of hard work and determination. Knowing that you have accomplished so much with your career, with building the coaching business, with 88 of your 100 dreams, which is amazing. What's left? Like, what are those other 12?
Oh gosh, I've been thinking about that a lot recently because I've really come to a place of deep alignment, deep receiving. I love that you brought that up. And realizing that anything truly is possible, that now my next level, it's not so much a list anymore because I do feel like I've hit so many things, but it's starting to dream even more. I feel like I've hit everything. Shouldn't I be done?
Yeah.
But there's still more, right? There's no limit. There's even if we look at the nuance, there's a way of me even saying, well, I'm done now. That's a way of controlling, like, well, we're not done. There's more out there. Who am I to say that we're done? So, the place where I'm at now is a greater sense of overflow. Let me say that because it's not about numbers per se, but it's about feeling that overflow, that sense of not just that I'm good, like I'm really good, no complaints here, but just excess and overflow and coming up against my own beliefs about being worthy to have that. Because for so long it felt like, well, can I just have the things like the love and the respect and that wealth at a level that we all want, like as a collective? But now that I have that, is it okay to ask for even more? Is it okay to just be like, oh, I just fly business class all the time. That's just how I live my life. And I can, just sign up for any program that I want and go anywhere that I want. Those kinds of things, which personally I'm trying to overcome some beliefs of like, well, this is good enough. You're enough. Like it's okay to ask for more. So that's where I'm at. Nothing specific, but that overall.
So you just hit on something I want to ask. I'm sure a lot of people are hearing you saying this and they're like, that's all well and good because you have the money, you've made the millions. How can people learn to ask for more when maybe
Mm.
they've never had themselves?
Yeah, it goes back to the conversation we've been having around possibility. It really is
Mhm.
because I want to say something that may trigger somebody, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes it is actually easier to be in hardship and despair because it's something that we are comfortable with.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, let that sink in, right? I mean, sometimes that's what we know when you think back to the way that you grew up, the environment that you grew up in, your own life story. I don't know anyone who's like, I grew up in this amazing family and everything was so great. And I am just so glad my life looked like this as a child because it's made me who I am today. I mean, if you've met them, Stu, let me know because I haven't met that person.
I haven't
Um,
either.
And those experiences that we have as young people, they set the foundation for what we believe we're worthy of. It sets the foundation for what we think is okay. And it sets the foundation for what we are comfortable with. Most people, the majority, vast majority of people feel comfortable in pain, actually. Nobody wants to admit it. We're daydreaming as a society about if I won the lottery, I would do this. Or, if I just had the dream partner, it would be like this. I mean, fill in the blank. We do a lot of that. We do a lot of actual daydreaming and
Mm.
just thinking like this far away thing. But you have to start coming to the terms, to the reality of what you yourself are actually comfortable with and start giving yourself the permission that you are worthy to have that comfort, that ease, the abundance, the goodness in your life today, right now, because it won't be. This is why I use the word arbitrary a lot. It won't change with arbitrary things that come into your life. It will change when you decide I am worthy. So when you start really exploring how comfortable am I with pain and am I willing to be just as comfortable with the good things, that in and of itself is a journey, and it will change your life, because there's no person who is more deserving of something than you are just as deserving, you are just as worthy, no matter the color of your skin, your gender, your religion, your makeup, how you came into this world. It doesn't matter. You are just as worthy. And when you embrace that truly, yeah, I mean that's a game changer.
Yeah. Shazia, that was so good. And, just to respond, if I may, you are not the first millionaire I've had on this show. And regardless of the person's economic status or whatever level of success they may have had that caused me to reach out to ask them to be on this show, every single person without fail has concluded the moment I hit stop recording has said something to the effect of, was that okay? Did that sound okay? Like, is that going to be okay to post for your next show? And the reason I share that with everybody is because, just to illustrate exactly what you were saying, like, nobody is better than anybody else. Like, we all have things we're going through. We all have things we struggle with. Some of
Mm-hmm.
the wealthiest people I know are, not saying this is you, Shazia, but some of the wealthiest people I know are the most insecure with their relationships with their partners or whatever the situation might be. And so I encourage the people listening to this to just know that wherever you are listening to this, whatever your situation is, you're probably doing a lot better than you think you are.
Yes.
And also, you probably can, you probably deserve a lot more if you allow yourself to dream big and see the possibility that we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting you bring that up, Stu, because did you ever hear how what Oprah talked about was the number one question that she was asked after interviews of
No, please tell me.
foreign leaders, presidents, like celebrities? I mean, we all know who was on Oprah, 4
Hmm.
p.m.
Hmm.
every afternoon. Oprah said the exact same thing you just said. Every single guest would, the cameras would shut off and they would say, was that okay? You think that was good? Do you think people will like that? Like, we're talking about people that we look up to as though somehow they're different. They are not different. They're the same. What makes them different is somewhere along the way, somebody decided, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm not talking about the silver spoon babies, okay? Like, let's put those people aside. But think about that person that you admire, that you look up to. They do have those same imposter syndrome thoughts. They have that, can I do this? Should I do this? Everybody has the same thoughts. But the differentiating factor is they said, you know what? Let me try. Let me just take a chance. And you can do that too, like genuinely, like every single person can do that. And I always say a really easy thing to remember is when you start asking yourself that question, like, why, why them, right? Or I can't think of the statement, but what I always say to people is ask yourself, why not me? Right? Like, oh, when you're thinking, why is something not happening? Just say, why not me? Why not? Why can't I do the thing? Why can't I go for that? Why can't I try that? That simple question will get your brain activated too. There's actually a biological component when you ask yourself a question, why not me? Your brain will actively try to answer that. And all you have to do is take some action, and even a small action can make a huge difference. So, yeah, go for it.
Why not me? Folks, it's very, very simple. And please, please, if you got to hit pause or if you get to hit the rewind button, please listen to that again and just take the moment to answer that for yourself, because I promise you you'll learn something if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness, Shazia, this has been such an amazing interview. We are 100% going to have you on again down the road. And knowing that we are unfortunately running out of time, what are the best ways for folks to get in touch with you, continue the conversation offline, also just learn more about the coaching that you do?
Sure. So, definitely grab that gift I have for you. You can get that at thelifeengineer.com/dreams. And Stu said he'll put on the show notes. So that would be my first place. Grab that gift. It will be a great head start for you. And then we'll be connected, and you'll be in my community. Another thing you can do if you just want to connect on socials is that I am on Instagram at The Life Engineer. I'm on Facebook at Shazia TLE, as in The Life Engineer. My website is thelifeengineer.com. And for whatever reason, my podcast, if you'd like to take a listen, is called Feminine and Fulfilled. Don't talk to my marketing people about that. Like, I probably should have been a little more consistent. But any which way you find me, I would love to be connected, and it would be my pleasure to see where you can go in life. I'll promise you one thing: if you're in my world, you know I believe in you, and sometimes that belief can be enough, even when you don't believe in yourself, because anything is possible for you.
Shazia, this has been absolutely incredible. I know I got a lot out of today's conversation, so I know the listeners did as well. And folks, again, like, don't be shy. I have people like Shazia on this show to support you and creating the life of your dreams. So be sure to reach out, blow up her inbox, continue the conversation with Shazia directly so that, if nothing else, you can learn from, the master herself. And Shazia, this is something that I ask every one of my guests who's on as we wind this down. What are you acknowledging yourself for today?
Ooh, today. Okay. Well, I'm acknowledging myself for getting some basic day-to-day things done. Sometimes that's what makes me really proud. I got my blood work done today, okay? So that I can make sure my doctor has my labs and I can be in good health, because my physical body is just as important as my spiritual and mental bodies states. Yeah, and I'm proud of myself. Like, life is still happening, and I'm doing it. Amidst all the great things, it's also the small things that I acknowledge too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for what it's worth, it is those small things that do matter. And acknowledge you for taking that on for yourself today amidst everything else that you're up to. But
Thank you.
Shazia, thank you so much for being here today. This has been absolutely incredible. And folks, I know that you got a lot out of this conversation too. So please share this far and wide. Please share this with somebody that you love and care about. And I would encourage you both to download the 100 Dreams list that will be linked somewhere below in the show notes or in the description, depending on where you're catching this, and do it together. Like, make a day out of it. Grab yourself a glass of wine if that's your thing, but really allow yourself to do this, because this is very clearly a powerful tool that has changed the game for Shazia and definitely can for you as well. And so, folks, as always, this has been your host, Stuart Krantz. We will be back next week with another guest or message. So please stay tuned. We'll see you there.